Hi guys, welcome to my channel. Arvan tells a story. Let's talk about Brazil. Officially, the Federative Republic of Brazil is the largest country in both South America and Latin America. It 8.5 million square kilometers and with over 214 million people. Brazil is the world's fifth largest country by area and the seventh most populous. Its capital is Brasilia and its most populous city is Sao Paulo. The federation is composed of the union of the 26 states and the federal district. It is the largest country to have Portuguese as an official language and the only one in the Americas. It is also one of the most multicultural and ethnically diverse nations due to over a century of mass immigration from around the world, as well as the most populous Roman Catholic majority country. Brazil, bounded by Atlantic Ocean on the east, Brazil has a coastline of 7,491 kilometers. It borders all other countries and territories in South America except Ecuador and Chile, and covers 47.3% of the continent's land area. Its Amazon basin includes a vast tropical forest, home to diverse wildlife, a variety of ecological systems, and extensive natural resources, spanning numerous protected habitats. Unique environmental heritage makes Brazil one of 17 megadiverse countries and is the subject of significant global interest. As an environmental degradation processes like deforestation has direct impacts on global issues like climate change and biodiversity loss. The territory which would become known as Brazil was inhabited by numerous tribal nations prior to the landing in 1500 of explorer Pedro Alvares Cabral, who claims they discovered land for the Portuguese Empire. Brazil remains a Portuguese colony until 1808, when the capital of the empire was transferred from Lisbon to Rio de Janeiro. In 1815, the colony was elevated to the rank of kingdom upon the formation of the United Kingdom of Portugal, Brazil, and the Algarves. Independence was achieved in 1822 with the creation of the Empire of Brazil. A unitary state governs under a constitutional monarchy and parliamentary system. The ratification of the first constitution in 1824 led to the formation of bicameral legislature now called the Nation Congress. The country became a presidential republic in 1889 following a military coup d'etat. An authoritarian military junta came to power in 1964 and ruled until 1985, after which civilian governance resumed. Brazil's current constitution, formulated in 1988, defines it as Democratic Federal Republic. Due to its rich culture and history, the country is ranked 13th in the world by number of UNESCO World Heritage Sites. Brazil is a regional and middle power and is also classified as an emerging power, considered an advanced emerging economy having the 12th largest GDP in the world by nominal and 8th by PPP measures, the largest in Latin America. As an upper middle income economy by the World Bank and a newly industrialized country, Brazil has the largest sales of global wealth in South America and is one of the world's major brick baskets. Being the largest producer of coffee for the last 150 years, however, the country maintains noticeable amounts of corruption, crime, and social inequality. Brazil is founding a member of the United nations, the G20, BRICS, Mercosur, Organization of American States, Organization of Ibero-American States, and the Community of Portuguese language countries. History. Some of the earliest human remains found in the Americas, Lucia women, were found in the area of Pedro Leopoldo, Minas Gerais, and provide evidence of human habitation going back at least 11,000 years. The earliest pottery ever found in the Western Hemisphere was excavated in the Brazil Amazon basin of Brazil, and radiocarbon dated to 8,000 years ago. The pottery was found near Santorum and provides evidence that the tropical forest region supported a complex prehistoric culture. The Marajoara culture flourished and Marajo in the Amazon Delta from 400 CA to 1400 CA, developing sophisticated pottery, social stratification, largest populations, mound building, and complex social formations such as chiefdoms. Following the 1494 Treaty of Tordesillas, the land now called Brazil was claimed for the Portuguese Empire on 22nd of April 1500. With the arrival of the Portuguese fleet commanded by Pedro Alvares Cabral, the Portuguese encountered indigenous peoples divided into several tribes, most of whom spoke languages of the Tupi-Guarani family and folk among themselves. Though the first settlement was founded in 1532, colonization effectively began in 1534 when King John III of Portugal divided the territory into the 15 private and autonomous captaincy colonies of Brazil. In late 1807, Spanish and Napoleonic forces threatened the security of continental Portugal, causing Prince Regent João, in the name of Queen Maria I, to move the royal court from Lisbon to Rio de Janeiro. There they established some of Brazil's first financial institutions, such as its local stock exchange and its national bank, additionally ending the Portuguese monopoly on Brazilian trade and opening Brazil to other nations. In 1809, in retaliation for being forced into exile, the Prince Regent ordered the Portuguese conquest of France Guiana. Tensions between Portuguese and Brazilians increased, and Portuguese courtiers, guided by the new political regime imposed by the Liberal Revolution, tried to re-establish Brazil as a colony. The Brazilians refused to yield, and Prince Pedro decided to stand with them, declaring the country's independence from Portugal on 7 of September 1822. A month later, Prince Pedro was declared the first emperor of Brazil, with the royal title of Dom Pedro I, resulting in the founding of the Empire of Brazil. The early republican government was nothing more than a military dictatorship, with the army dominating affairs both in Rio de Janeiro and in the States. Freedom of the press disappeared, and elections were controlled by those in power. Not until 1894, following an economic crisis and a military one, did civilians take power, remaining there until October 1930. Several brief interim governments followed for just suicide. Juscelino Kubitschek became president in 1956 and assumed a conciliatory posture towards the political opposition that allowed him to govern without major crisis. The economy and industrial sector grew remarkably, but his greatest achievement was the construction of the new capital city of Brasilia. Inaugurated in 1960, Kubitschek's successor, Genio Quadros, resigned in 1991. Less than a year after taking office, his vice president, João Goulart, assumed the presidency but around strong political opposition and was deposed in April 1964 by a coup that resulted in military dictatorship. Brazil has economy and good economy. Economy in Brazil. Brazil is the largest national economy in Latin America, the world's ninth largest economy and the eighth largest in purchasing power parity. According to 2018 estimates, Brazil has a mixed economy with abundant natural resources. After rapid growth in preceding decades, the country entered an ongoing recession in 2014 amid a political corruption scandal and nationwide protests. Its gross domestic product per capita was $15,919 in 2017, putting Brazil in the 77th position according to IMF data. Active in agricultural, mining, manufacturing, and service sectors, Brazil has a labor force of over 107 million, ranking 6 worldwide and unemployment of 6.2%. The country has been expanding its presence in international financial and commodities markets and is one of the groups of power emerging economies called the BRIC countries or BRIC. Brazil has been the world's largest producer of coffee for the last 150 years. The country is a major exporter of soy, iron ore, pork, maize, beef, chicken, meat, soybean, milk, sugar, coffee, tobacco, cotton, orange juice, footwear, airplanes, cars, vehicle parts, gold, ethanol, semi-finished iron, among other products. Brazil's diversified economy includes agriculture, industry, and a wide range of services. Agriculture and allied sectors like forestry, lodging, and fishing accounted for 5.1% of the GDP in 2007. Brazil is the largest producer of various agricultural commodities and also has a largest cooperative sector that provides 50% of the food in the country. The world's largest healthcare cooperative, Unite, is also located in Brazil and accounts for 32% of the healthcare insurance market in the world, or in the country, Brazil is one of the largest producers of animal protein in the world. In 2019, the country was the world's largest exporter of chicken meat. It was also the world's second largest producer of beef, third largest producer of milk, fourth largest producer of pork, and seventh largest producer of eggs. In the mining sector, Brazil stands out in the extraction of iron ore, the second highest world exporters. Copper, gold, bauxite, one of the 5 largest producers in the world. Manganese, one of the 5 largest producers in the world. Tin, one of the largest producers in the world. Niobium concentrates 98% of reserves known to the world. And nickel. In terms of precious stones, Brazil is the world's largest producer of amethyst, topaz, agate, and one of the main producers of tourmaline, emerald, aquamarine, and garnet. Industry in Brazil, from automobiles, steel, and petrochemicals to computers, aircraft, and consumer durables, accounted for 30.8% of the gross domestic products. Industry is highly concentrated in metropolitan Sao Paulo, Rio de Janeiro, Campinas, Porto Alegre, and Belo Horizonte. Brazil has become the fourth largest car market in the world. Major export products include aircraft, electrical equipment, automobiles, ethanol, textiles, footwear, iron ore, steel, coffee, oranges, soybeans, and corn beef. In total, guys, Brazil ranked 23rd worldwide in value of exports, and the food industry in 2019, Brazil was the second largest exporter of processed foods in the world. In 2016, the country was the second largest producer of pulp in the world and the eighth producer of papers. In the footwear industry in 2019, Brazil ranks fourth among world producers. In 2019, the country was the eighth producer of vehicle and the ninth producer of steel in the world. In 2018, the chemical industry of Brazil was the eighth in the world. Although it was among the five largest world producers in 2013, Brazil's textile industry is very little integrated into world trade. The tertiary sectors, trade and services, represented 75.8% of the country's GDP in 2018. According to the IBGE, the service sector was responsible for 60% of GDP and trade for 13%. It covers a wide range of activities: commerce, accommodation and catering, transport, communication, finance services, real estate activities, and services provided to businesses, public administrations, urban cleaning, sanitation, etc. And other services such as education, social and health services, research and development, supports activities. Since it consists of activities complementary to other sectors, micro and small businesses represent 30% of the country's GDP. In the commercial sector, for example, they represent 53% of GDP within the activities of the sector. Corruption costs Brazil almost 41 billion a year alone in 2010, with 69.9% of the country's firms identifying the issues as a major concentrate in successfully penetrating the global market. Local government corruption is so prevalent that voters perceive it as a problem only if surpasses certain level, and only if a local media like a radio station is present to divulge the findings of corruption charges. Initiatives like this exposure strengthen awareness, which is indicated by the Transparency International Corruption Perception Index, ranking Brazil 69th out of 178 countries in 2012. The purchasing power in Brazil is eroded by the so-called Brazil Codes. So, historical about education in Brazil. Historical building of the Federal University of Paraná, one of the oldest universities in Brazil, located in Curitiba. The federal constitution and the law of guidelines and basis of national education determine that the union, the states, the federal district, and the municipalities must manage and organize their respective education systems. Each of these public educational systems is responsible for its own maintenance, which manages funds as well as the mechanisms and funding sources. The Constitution reserves 25% of the state's budgets and 18% of the federal taxes and municipal taxes for education. According to the IBCA, in 2019, the literacy rate of the population was 93.4%, meaning that 11.3 billion people are still literate in the country, or 6.6% of population. with some states like Rio de Janeiro and Santa Catarina reaching around 97% of literacy rate. Functional literacy has reached 21.6% of the population. Literacy is higher in the Northeast, where 13.87% of the population is illiterate, while the South has 3.3% of its population illiterate. Brazil's private institutions tend to be more exclusive and offer better quality education. So many high-income families send their children there. The result is segregated educational system that reflects extreme income disparities and reinforces social inequality. However, efforts to change this are making impacts. The University of Sao Paulo is the second best university in Latin America according to recent 2019 QS World University ranking. Of the top 20 Latin American universities, 8 are Brazilian, most of them are public. Attending an institution of higher education is required by law of guidelines on basis of education. Kindergarten, elementary and medium education are required of all students. Okay, just it about Brazil. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Thank you so much. Okay, see you soon in another video. Bye.